Hello friends, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink with more flat shaker cards that I hot foiled on because I am obsessed. But first, I'm going to do my backgrounds, and my colors were totally inspired by the sequin mix, which I think I did that recently as well. I'm a disorganized mess lately, but just being inspired by the colors. So the sequin mix is the new Glimmering Pines mix from Simon Says Stamps handmade holiday release that I just did like a release and review video on before this. And I was looking at those sequins and I was like, ooh, because at first I was like, they're kind of just like green and gold. But then when you look closer, the one is kind of a blue color and it has like turquoise reflex. And I was just like, yes, I'm going with this. You're going to use Oxides. Going to do this on Neenah Desert Storm cardstock, which I've done bunch of videos. If you're not aware, kind of obsessed with this. Any kind of craft cardstock will work because I do have some international peeps that have been saying like this is very hard for them to find this specific like Neenah Desert Storm. Again, any craft cardstock will work. Also, I think this would look really pretty on like a really pale aqua cardstock. That could also look really nice, especially with these colors. So I'm using Distress Oxide inks. I have most of them in my little ink stands here, and like everything, I'll have links to all the supplies underneath the video and on my blog. And I picked out all the different colors, and then I am just blending, starting in the center, and I'm using the new Holiday BOHO Circle Stencil. Simon's BOHO Circle Stencil. There's the spring one, I think just a regular BOHO Circle. I've done so many videos using them, like obsessed. So of course I fell in love with this one the minute it came out. Anywho, started in the center and then just kind of worked my way out with all these different colors. So I started with peacock feathers and then prize ribbon. FYI, peacock feathers and prize ribbon. This whole combo I'm quite happy with, but those two, I don't know, prize ribbon makes peacock feathers like glow. Wait till I remove the stencil. Anyway, did that and then into Lucky Clover, and then I'm adding Mowed Lawn, and then I'll add Salvaged Patina. Pretty much all colors I love. Funny enough though, I don't use Lucky Clover. I don't reach for it very often, but it was the perfect color to go with this combo. I like, getting inspired by random things, different color combos, because I always reach for my go-tos, and then I forget how awesome, certain colors are that I haven't used in a long time or sometimes have never used. So just worked my way around blending using the smaller of the blending brushes from Simon. Just swirling my brush in the ink and then swirling it over the stencil onto this cardstock. And there is just something magical about Oxide inks and how they look on Desert Storm cardstock as well as just any darker cardstock. Like when I removed the stencil, I was like, oh, love. And see, the center almost looks like it's glowing, because that's where the peacock feathers were, and then it goes into that prize ribbon. Like, oh, the prize ribbon, awesome. I could rave about any color. Like I've always said, like Tim Holtz could release literally like a color called dirt and I'll be all over it. So anyway, I did the process a second time because I had all the supplies sitting here, why not? So I was just taping the stencil in place with just a little bit of my like Spellbinders washi tape, and then doing the exact same process. Starting in the center and then just working my way out and then kind of going back and forth, especially with the center color, because that prize ribbon is a very intense blue and it can easily cover up like everything. But blending that and then going into that Lucky Clover, which is just such a gorgeous Kelly green. I definitely need to make a point of using this one more often. I always reach for Mowed Lawn, when I come to the more medium greens, which I love, but you can see like they are vastly different shades of green. So yeah, love it. Blending them together is just fun. And then Salvage Patina is just a must-have. Seriously, it's so pretty. So got all that blending done. And then off camera, I just run my stencil. I just take it to the sink and run water over it because these wash off with water quick and easy. So I'm not sitting there wiping and fiddling with the stencil. So let them sit for a bit to kind of let the ink dry because these are slower drying inks. And then I'm just shaving off like the slightest bit off all the edges of these pieces. They are A2 size, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I took off just the littlest bit with my little guillotine trimmer, just because once I wrap this with the plastic to create the shaker, it just makes it not overlap the edges of the card base, if that makes sense. So it's not 100% necessary, but I find taking that little bit off, it just helps in the end to make things kind of fit a little bit better. So did all of that. And then of course, hot foiling. So I'm using the new large thank you swirl hot foil plate from Simon. That is fabulous. And some recycled packaging. This is packaging that some of my Simon cardstock came in that, you know, I've got a pile of it. I showed a picture on Instagram like weeks ago. I literally have a pile of recycled packaging that I've been using to make flat shaker cards. And then one of my lovely subscribers had sent me an email. I talked about this with the first hot foiled flat shaker video, but she gave me the inspiration. Karen did. And she doesn't have a YouTube or anything like that. I mentioned that in the other video. But she was the one who discovered that this packaging can be hot foiled. And I was like, oh, life has been changed. It's so fun. So that's what I'm doing. So anywho, I trimmed down my foil. This first one is Spellbinder's teal hot glimmer foil. I have my machine. It was already plugged in, turned on. Everything's ready to go. So I put the foil plate down. I put the pretty side of the foil facing the plate. My little piece of packaging. And then I use the shim and the spacer plate, and I have 2 cardstock shims. That's what works for me with almost everything when it comes to whether it's die cutting, hot foiling. You gotta fiddle and figure out what works best for you and your machine, because, you know, finicky. But this works best. So I pressed the button. Once it was heated up proper, I ran this through my Spellbinder's Platinum machine and then peeled off the foil. And the packaging is fabulous and foiled and wonderful. So I did that. And then for the second one, I decided I wanted to do a different color because why not? I was originally just going to do gold because that would look amazing too. But I have, I'm pretty sure, every single color Spellbinder's foil. So this one is the Viridian, Viridian green. I did not trim the foil down like I usually do, like closer to the plate, you know? I was like, it should be fine. It wasn't. This is why, you know, we recommend you trim your foil down a little bit, not have big blobs. Although I've seen other people do it in videos and it like gives me anxiety, and then they have no overfoiling. So I don't know how they're managing it, but I'll show you guys. So this did overfoil. The top 2 kind of corners got pressed in, and I've got all this foil stuck. And I've shown in the other video, I'll link to the other hot foil flat shaker videos if you haven't seen them. But usually you can kind of scrape off any excess with your fingernail. But I trimmed down on my fingernails. They're little stubs. Mine are a mess. But you can't use an eraser, and you can't use anything sharp because it's a piece of plastic. But what I found that works perfect is my little L-shaped misty positioning corner piece. So I'm sure like a plastic ruler would work as well, because it's got that kind of flat edge that's kind of sharp but not really, like it's not going to cut the plastic, but it scraped off all this overfoiling like it was nothing. It's like, this was perfect. I'm so glad I don't know that it worked. So because yeah, I had that overfoiling and then just a couple little spots here and there that, you know, wanted to hang around. So I just gently scraped it off with that little ruler L-shaped doomahickey, and I was good to go. So there's hope with all the things. There's ways to fix stuff. And if worst comes to worst, whatever, you know, okay, brain is mush. Refoil another piece because it's recycled packaging, or stick a bling or something over it, you know, bling or some die cuts. There's always ways to fix it. So with these, I tape the acetate into place just with another piece of washi tape, just so things are centered. Since it's foiled, I want the sentiment, you know, legible, etc. And then I just flip this over, and I'm using Simon's red line tape and folding over these edges of the packaging to create my edge-to-edge shaker pocket. So all 3 sides, I completely fold everything over, everything's sealed into place. You always want to use a really good strong adhesive for this. That's where the red line adhesive really comes in. I've also used score tape. That works great as well. And then with the final edge, I get the adhesive in place, but I'm not going to peel off the backing yet because you got to put in all the shaker bits. So I've got the Glimmering Pines sequin mix. I could have just left it at this. I don't know why it's like impossible for me to just have like one thing in these shakers. It's like, I'm going to add more. And it's also a good way to use up glitter because like I have this gold glitter. This is some Studio Caudia gold foil glitter. I don't think it's even available anymore, but I'll link to something similar. Any gold chunky glitter will work. So I added some of that and I added some Distress Rock Candy glitter as well. It just kind of fills it in and it's glitter. And because everything's sealed up with these shakers, this is another way to use up loose glitter. So if you hate loose glitter and you don't have any, you don't need to get any. But for people like me that have tons of it, refuse to get rid of it, this is a good way to use it without having it fall out all over the place, because regular shakers, you cannot use glitter. Like, you're just asking for trouble because, you know, it's going to seep out past the foam tape and all that stuff. But with these, I have yet, and you guys see, I play with them. You know, I'm sitting here shaking them and doing the thing, and I have yet for glitter to come out. So, my shaker panels are done. They're foiled, and they're stenciled and foiled and filled with glitter and sequins. My card bases are more Desert Storm cardstock. These are going to be top folding A2 size cards. So once I scored them, I have my clean stencil here. And I purposely cleaned it off because I didn't want to add all this color to the inside of the card. Because while it's beautiful, all those colors together, I don't want the inside to be super busy. But I love the pattern. So I taped the stencil into place, added some masking tape along the top. And I'm just using some of Simon's Fossil ink and just blending that over. Now this ink, when it's wet and on camera, it looks a lot darker than it is. But when it's fully dry, it's much paler, like more tone on tone. Like right now it looks kind of dark brown. I don't know, my lighting is horrible right now, but yeah, it will dry much lighter, much more tone on tone. Fossil ink is one of my new favorites with Desert Storm. I have 3 favorites with Desert Storm. I have Simon's Cobblestone ink that I've used in a million videos. Simon's Khaki ink. Use that one in a bunch of videos with Desert Storm. And now this one. And they're all just like perfect neutrals. And they make me happy. So that's what I did. So I get the pattern. This will, you know, like I said, I've got the cards like right in front of me right now. And yeah, it dries a lot later. So I'll be able to write over this, no problem, with a ballpoint pen. And it'll be good to go. And it also, the sentiments are much more legible too, which you'll see kind of in the final photos. So after I was done my stenciling, I pulled out the Thankful Wreath stamp set. Love it. I want to use the wreath image, but I'll do that like on separate cards. But the sentiments were too perfect. So I pulled out one of the sentiments and my Misty and centered the sentiment on the inside of this card, and I am stamping it multiple times with the Peacock Feathers Distress Oxide ink. Brand new stamps tend to have a coating on them, even sometimes, like, you know, you rub your fingers on them, etc. They tend to almost resist ink a bit. So the more you use them, the better they stamp. Like, use them, clean them, keep using them, and they'll stamp better and better and better. So that's what I'm doing here. Just inking it up and stamping it over and over again. Plus, stamping it multiple times is just like adding those layers to that ink and intensifying it a bit so it makes it more legible, because it is kind of a busy background with that stencil. So stamped that sentiment on the inside of both cards. And then I stamped there's several little companion stamps with that Thankful Wreath set. So I just grabbed the little one that says For You. I'm a big old head and messy, you know, the messy bun that's always on the top of my head gets in the way. And I'm going to stamp that with the Lucky Clover ink. And speaking of my big old head and the messy hair, after I did this on the insides, I'm going to adhere the outsides to the card bases, which I have no footage for because my head was literally in the way, and that's all you're going to see is the like back of my head. No. So that's all I did though. So I adhered them. And they're fabulous and foiled and really hard to film and take pictures of because of the reflection. But yeah, there's just, I don't know. There's just something about, one, I love shaker cards, but I especially love these flat shaker cards. They are so much fun. They're so addictive. And then adding the hot foil element. You know, you could totally hot foil the cardstock itself and not do the packaging, but the fact that you can hot foil the packaging is just such a game changer. I've been having so much fun. So like I said, I'll have links to the other videos I've done so far with the hot foil flat shakers. This is actually, and this video, FYI, I got distracted, is part of a blog hop. So I'll have all that info in my blog post. You can check it out. It'll be linked directly below the video in the description box, as well as links to all the supplies, all that info. So check out the description box below for all of that if you are interested. Thank you all so much for watching, for subscribing, for thumbs upping, commenting, all the good things. I very much appreciate all of you. And I'll see you all very soon in the next video. Bye.